The Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico, an epicenter where ancient magic collides with modern science. Here, at the heart of Chichen Itza, stands El Castillo, the Great Pyramid of Kukulkan. Twice a year, as the sun hangs in perfect balance during the equinox, a shadow gives birth to a serpent of light, its body slithering down the 91 steps of the northern staircase. Onlookers from across the globe stand mesmerized. They marvel at a triumph of geometry and celestial mechanics, a testament to the genius of the Maya. But their gaze is fixed on the sky. The true mystery lies not in the heavens, but deep beneath their feet, buried under the limestone bedrock. It is there that the world of the living ends, and the underworld, which the Maya called Xibalba, the place of fear, begins.
In 2018, a team of researchers from the Great Maya Aquifer Project, led by Dr. Guillermo de Anda, took a step into that darkness. They were not hunting for gold, nor for the tombs of forgotten kings. They sought an answer to a question that has haunted historians for a century. Why did the most advanced civilization in the Americas, a people who possessed writing, mathematics, the concept of zero, and a calendar more precise than any in Europe, suddenly choose to vanish? Why, in the 9th century, were their magnificent cities abandoned to the jungle?
The answer lay hidden in a place spoken of only in whispers by local shamans, a site long believed to be lost. The cave of Balamkú, the cave of the jaguar god. This is no simple geological formation. It is a hermetically sealed time capsule, a vault locked 1,000 years ago at a moment of supreme desperation. But the story of its unsealing does not begin in 2018. It begins half a century earlier, with a discovery that still fuels debate and conspiracy in the scientific community. It is a story of what one man saw in the darkness, and why he chose to conceal it from the world. This is no mere excavation. It is the investigation of a planetary-scale crime scene, and the cave itself is the only remaining witness. In 1966, the jungle surrounding Chichen Itza was a wilder territory. Local Maya farmers, clearing a plot for their milpa, a traditional maize field, stumbled upon a strange opening. From beneath the roots of a colossal ceiba, the sacred world tree of the Maya, a cold, damp air seemed to breathe from the earth. They knew at once they had found an entrance to the underworld.
What they could not have known is that they had found a wound in history, a sealed chamber containing the final, desperate prayers of a dying civilization. A place that holds not treasure, but a truth far more valuable, and perhaps far more terrifying. The local guides would lead them to the cave's mouth, but no further. In their blood runs an ancient genetic memory, a terror of Xibalba, the Mayan underworld. To them, a cave is not a geological feature. It is the very womb of the earth, a sacred orifice that can swallow a soul whole. They would not enter. But they permitted one man, an archaeologist, to pass.
His name was Victor Segovia Pinto.
He was a respected scholar, the director of excavations at the great city of Chichen Itza, a man of science, a pragmatist, with little inclination towards the mystical. He arrived at the site in 1966 with a small team of workers, prepared for what he believed would be another routine survey. What transpired next, however, fits nowhere in the logical framework of field archaeology.
Segovia descended into the earth.
For 3 days, the darkness claimed him as he explored the initial chambers. When he finally emerged into the Yucatecan sun, he was a changed man. He was pale, profoundly shaken. His colleagues would later recall that he wore the expression of someone who had stared into the face of a ghost. By every tenet of his profession, his next steps were clear. Contact the press, organize a large-scale expedition, begin the meticulous inventory of artifacts, and secure the perimeter with tape. This discovery had the potential to make him a global star, a modern-day Howard Carter who had found not a single tomb, but an entire subterranean world.
Instead,
he gave an order that stunned his assistants to their core. "Seal it." Not merely to gate it or cover it with stones, he commanded them to entomb it, to seal it with mortar and rock so completely that not even a mouse could slip through the cracks. He had brought nothing out with him, not a single artifact, not one shard of pottery, not one obsidian bead. He left it all behind, returned to the silence and the dark. His official account was a brief, sterile report that mentioned, only in passing, the presence of a significant quantity of ceramics. He then buried this document deep within the dustiest, most obscure archives of the National Institute of Anthropology and History. The coordinates of the entrance were scrubbed from all maps. The local villagers were ordered to forget, to remain silent. Victor Segovia died in 1995, taking the secret of what he saw in that cave with him to his grave. He never spoke of Balamkú, the cave of the jaguar god, in public again.
Why? What could frighten a man of science so deeply that he would renounce the discovery of a lifetime?
In the vacuum of his silence, speculation festered. Conspiracy theorists spoke of a curse, of a profane entity he had disturbed, something not meant for human eyes that had fractured his rational mind. But modern scholars, poring over the scant few lines in his private journals, find hints of a different truth. He wrote of a crushing, oppressive atmosphere, of 1,000 unseen eyes watching him from the penumbra. He described an overwhelming feeling of trespassing, of violating a forbidden sanctuary. Perhaps Segovia, a man so deeply immersed in the Mayan culture, had finally felt its spiritual weight. He felt not the thrill of discovery, but the sacredness and the pain of a place of ritual. Or perhaps, in a moment of profound foresight, he acted as a true guardian. He may have decided that the archaeological techniques of the 1960s were too crude, too invasive for such a delicate environment. He feared that his contemporaries would simply plunder the cave, shattering its fragile context, looting its treasures without ever understanding its soul.
So he made a decision. He would conserve the discovery not from the world, but for the future, for us. And that future would arrive 52 years later, a symbolic number, a full cycle in the Mayan calendar. The circle was now complete.
In 2018, Guillermo de Anda, an investigator for National Geographic, spent months searching for that sealed entrance. The jungle erases all things. Its roots shatter stone. Its canopy devours the light. But guided by forgotten maps and the fading memories of village elders now in their 80s, he was led to a nondescript heap of moss-covered stones. They began to dismantle the wall, piece by piece, breaking a silence measured in centuries. They were not just opening a cave, they were unsealing a man's desperate, silent plea, a message left in stone, a hope that those who came after would possess the wisdom not just to see, but to finally understand.
A fissure in the earth, sealed for half a century. From its narrow cleft erupts a torrent of stale, heavy air, the scent of millennia. It is a potent miasma of ammonia from bat guano and the perpetual damp of limestone. This is the very exhalation of a sleeping dragon. The team stands ready, clad in an armor of high technology. Gas analyzers to ward off the invisible threats of methane and carbon dioxide. Three-dimensional laser scanners capable of painting a map of the underworld in real time. Powerful LED lamps engineered to pierce an absolute darkness. But the cave makes its intentions clear from the first moment. Guests are not welcome here. The entrance is no grand portal. It is a ghoul local name for a passage so tight it threatens to flay the very skin from their bones.
The first 400 meters are a trial of body and spirit.
In places, the ceiling descends to a height of just 40 centimeters. Here, a human being cannot stand. One cannot sit, One cannot even rise to all fours. The only path forward is to slicect and bat excrement accumulated over centuries. The spine scrapes against the jagged stone ceiling above, while the face hovers mere centimeters from a floor teeming with life. The unnerving dance of whip scorpions, their long antennal legs tasting the darkness, and their true scorpion cousins hidden in the crevices.
The air itself is an adversary. Oxygen is scarce, the levels of carbon dioxide dangerously elevated. Every breath is a labor. The heart hammers against the ribs, its frantic rhythm echoing in the ears. This is a test. The ancient Maya called such passages the path of birth. To them, the cave was the very womb of the earth. To enter the world of the spirits, one had to be reborn, to endure the crushing pain of the birth canal.
It is a profound psychological barrier. Claustrophobia, the primal fear of confinement, can overwhelm even the most seasoned speleologist. Here, panic is a death sentence. To freeze in terror is to become a permanent obstruction, a cork in the artery of the cave, blocking it.
Guillermo de Anda, the lead archaeologist, crawls first. He would later recount the feeling that the cave itself was alive, that its stone jaws were slowly, inexorably closing upon him, that he would be entombed there forever. Yet, propelled by adrenaline and the unyielding drive of the explorer, he pushed onward.
And then, release. The tunnel suddenly expanded. The ceiling soared into an unseen blackness. He was able to rise, to stand and lift his head. The beam of his headlamp sliced through the void and struck the far wall, and he screamed. It was not a cry of fear, but of pure, unadulterated shock, because the wall was watching him. He saw eyes, hundreds of eyes. This was not an empty cavern. It was a treasure chamber, but not of gold. To the Maya, gold was merely a beautiful metal, the excrement of the sun. Its value was temporal. The true treasure, the ultimate prize, was a connection to the gods.
Before the explorers, 7 ritual chambers unfolded. Natural grottos, populated by bizarre stalactites and stalagmites that resembled an army of chthonic beings frozen in mid-stride. And every square inch of free space was occupied by artifacts. Vases, plates, grinding stones for maize, and most importantly, the incensarios, the sacred incense burners. These were enormous, intricate ceramic vessels, some standing half a meter tall, their surfaces covered in the faces of deities.
They had not simply found a collection of objects. They had entered a sanctuary, a place where the veil between worlds was thin. The journey through the Earth's womb was not a prelude to the ceremony. It was the ceremony. A brutal, transformative passage required to stand, humbled and reborn, in the presence of the gods.
They were sculpted from the earth and fired with an almost supernatural mastery.
Each effigy was a vessel, each vessel a deity. There were not 10 of them, nor 20. There were hundreds. The latest counts from the first chambers alone exceed 200. They stood in silent, ordered rows, an army of divine guardians arrayed for a final parade, eternal sentinels in a subterranean tomb. Some had been shattered. A deliberate, ritualistic killing of the object, performed to release its spirit into the next world. But others stood perfectly intact, cloaked only in a delicate shroud of millennial dust and the slow, calcified tears of the earth dripping from the cavern ceiling. The scene was so pristine, it felt as though the priests had just departed, as though the smoke from their sacred incense had only moments ago dissolved into the stale, heavy air. Scientists moved between these ranks of gods, afraid to breathe, terrified that a careless brush of a backpack could shatter eternity. One clumsy step, and a priceless chapter of history would be reduced to a pile of ceramic shards. This was the single largest cache of ritual Maya pottery ever discovered. For centuries, the study of the Maya has been a study of ghosts, of tombs plundered by ancient looters or 20th century marauders. Their temples stand empty, their secrets scattered. But this cave, Balamkú, was untouched. Not a single plunderer had managed to brave the constricting passage at its entrance, a crawl space barely the width of a man's shoulders, nor the profound, primal fear of the spirits guarding it.
This was the Pompeii of the Maya world. A single, frozen moment, an immaculate snapshot of a civilization on the brink.
And when the archaeologists began to examine the faces staring back at them from the clay, they were met with a second, more profound shock. A cultural vertigo. These were not the faces they expected to find in the heart of the Yucatan. The classic Maya rain god Chak is unmistakable. He possesses a characteristic elo, but the faces on these vessels belonged to another. The eyes were round. Circled headdress was a distinct rectangular form. This was Tlaloc, the god of rain, thunder, and war from central Mexico, the patron deity of the distant colossal city of Teotihuacan, and later of the Aztecs. He was the god of outsiders, of strangers.
What was this highland deity doing here, in the heart of the Maya jungle, 2,000 kilometers from his mountain home? The discovery overturned generations of understanding about the politics and religion of the era. It pointed to a cultural expansion, perhaps even a military invasion.
The Maya, it seemed, had grown so terrified by the cataclysm unfolding in their world that they had turned their backs on their own ancestral gods. Chak had stopped hearing their prayers. The rains no longer came. And so, in an act of ultimate desperation, they reached out to a foreign power, a harsher, they were changing their religion in a final, desperate attempt to survive.
To understand why they would commit such a profound betrayal of faith, we must emerge from the underworld of the cave and look to the sky, or rather, to the sky as it was 1,000 years ago. The dating of the ceramics, through both radiocarbon analysis and stylistic comparison, provided a clear and chilling time frame. The late Classic and Terminal Classic periods, between the years 700 and 1000. This was the precise moment of the Great Maya Collapse, one of history's most enduring mysteries. Across the jungle, the great city-states, Tikal, Calakmul, Palenque, fell silent. The ceaseless work of masons and scribes ceased. Kings vanished from their thrones and stela. The population died out or scattered into the forest, leaving behind monuments to a golden age that had suddenly and catastrophically ended.
The silent pantheon in the cave of Balamkú was not a monument to a new conquest or a new alliance. It was a testament to the last prayers of a dying civilization. It reveals the terrifying bargains we are willing to make when our world unravels, when the gods we have always known fall silent, and the only hope left is the mercy of a stranger.
For centuries, their cities have stood silent, reclaimed by the jungle. The great pyramids of the Maya, monuments to a cosmic understanding of breathtaking complexity, offered no clue to their own demise. Historians debated in a vacuum of evidence. Was it incessant warfare? A bloody peasant uprising? A virulent epidemic that swept through the plazas? The answers remained elusive, trapped in the stone and silence.
But the answer was not in the sky-piercing temples. It was waiting, deep within the earth. In a cave known as Balamkú, the Jaguar's Grotto, a final, desperate chapter of the Maya story was preserved. And this story is now being corroborated by the dispassionate testimony of paleoclimatology. In caverns nearby, scientists descended into the perpetual dark to read a different kind of scripture. They sought out stalagmites, stone columns rising from the cave floor, formed over millennia. A stalagmite is a natural chronicle, a hard drive of climate etched in stone. It grows drop by agonizing drop, century by century, as mineral-rich water seeps from the world above. Through isotopic analysis of the oxygen trapped within its layers, science can reconstruct a precise history of rainfall, accurate to within a single year. The graph plotted from this data was not a gentle curve. It was the cardiogram of a dying patient.
In the 9th century of our era,
The Yucatan Peninsula was seized by a monstrous, unprecedented drought. This was no mere dry summer. It was a fundamental climatic shift. The life-giving rains, the very foundation of their world, ceased for decades. Precipitation plummeted by as much as 70%, and the sky offered no relief, year after agonizing year. For a civilization utterly dependent on rain-fed agriculture, on the sacred maize that demanded water, this was a death sentence.
the cenotes, those spectacular limestone sinkholes that were the only source of fresh water, began to recede.
The groundwater level fell by meters, the sacred pools shrinking into muddy pits. Water, and the gods who commanded it, were retreating into the underworld. Across the peninsula, the crops withered. The great storehouses were emptied. Famine began to stalk the streets, in the shadow of the very pyramids built to honor the gods who had abandoned them.
In this abyss, the priests and the elite, the intermediaries between the human and the divine, searched for a way out.
They understood that the usual sacrifices, performed atop the pyramids for the sky gods, were failing. The heavens were closed. The gods were gone. And so, they decided to go to the source.
The Maya believed that water was born in the subterranean realm, that caves were the wombs of the earth from which the rain clouds emerged. Deep inside, they believed, lived the true masters of the rain. Their last hope was to bypass the silent sky and appeal directly to these chthonic deities. They descended into Balamkú.
This was no triumphal march. It was an act of ultimate desperation,
A procession into the underworld itself to awaken a sleeping god and beg for the life of their people. Imagine the scene. Deep in the night, the jungle alive with unseen sounds. The priests, emaciated from hunger, their eyes sunken, are nonetheless arrayed in their full ceremonial splendor. Quetzal feathers, heavy jade necklaces, intricate mosaic masks, and the pelts of jaguars. They crawl on their hands and knees through a narrow, muddy passage, their fine robes tearing, their skins scraped raw on the unforgiving rock. They drag with them heavy ceramic censers, each weighing over 15 kilograms. They carry baskets of food they cannot spare for their own children, and bundles of firewood.
Soot analysis from the cave ceiling reveals they lit fires of such intensity that the oxygen in the enclosed chamber, 25 meters underground, was almost instantly consumed. This triggered a state of severe hypoxia.
As the brain was starved of oxygen, the veil between worlds grew thin. Hallucinations began, a profound euphoria coupled with terrifying visions. The flickering torchlight would have made the shadows.
To this, they added the smoke from their incense. Gas chromatography of the residue in the censers has revealed a complex psychoactive cocktail. The primary ingredient was copal, a tree resin that produces a thick, sweet, intoxicating smoke. This smoke, they believed, was the food of the gods. Inhaled in that oxygen-deprived chamber, it was a potent hallucinogen, a chemical key to the spirit world. This was their final, frantic offering, their own breath, their own consciousness, their last remaining food, sacrificed in the bowels of the earth.
The smoke cleared. The visions faded. But the rains never returned. The gods remained silent.
What was left is a haunting tableau. Hundreds of ceramic vessels left exactly where the last supplicants placed them over 1,000 years ago. An archaeological treasure, but also a tombstone. It marks the end not just of a ritual, but of a world. A civilization is not merely stone and gold. It is a shared belief in the order of the cosmos. And when the cosmos refuses to answer, even the mightiest civilization can crumble into dust and memory.
Within the labyrinthine depths of the earth, they sought communion not through prayer, but through poison. This was a tobacco, but not as we know it. Nicotiana rustica, a wild, feral species, its leaves coursing with a concentration of nicotine orders of magnitude greater than any modern cultivar. To smoke it was not to find relaxation, but to invite a violent neurological storm, a powerful intoxication that convulsed the body, induced vomiting, and shattered the boundaries of the conscious mind, plunging the user into a profound and terrifying trance.
But this was merely the key to the door. The priests of the underworld possessed a far more complex sacred chemistry. Forensic analysis reveals the traces of other entheogens, plants that dismantle reality. The seeds of the vining morning glory, Turbina corymbosa, containing LSA, a natural cousin to lysergic acid diethylamide. The potent venom secreted from the skin of the Sonoran desert toad, a powerful bufotoxin, and the unmistakable chemical signatures of sacred mushrooms. For the Mayan priests who descended into the Balamkú cave system, this was not recreation. It was a technology of the soul. They entered these deep, altered states of consciousness to perform a sacred and perilous task. They did not simply pray to their gods. They believed they physically traversed the veil, stepping from the world of the living into the spectral plane of the spirits. Here, in the dripping darkness, they saw Tlaloc, the goggled-eyed god of rain and lightning. They spoke with him. They heard his voice resonate in the percussive, eternal dripping of water from stalactite to stalagmite. And they paid him his due.
On the sacrificial altars, formed from the slow, patient work of millennia, scientists discovered the residue of their transactions. Under the cold, revealing glare of ultraviolet light, ancient stalagmites began to glow with an eerie fluorescence. It was the spectral ghost of organic matter. It was the ghost of blood.
The priests practiced a ritual of auto-sacrifice, a profound offering of their own life force. They would perforate their tongues, their ears, their very genitals with instruments of exquisite pain, the serrated spines of stingrays brought inland from the distant sea, or the razor-sharp edges of obsidian blades, napped to a monomolecular edge sharper than any modern steel. They would anoint strips of paper, hammered from the bark of the ficus tree, with their own sacred blood. This paper, this amate, was then burned in ceramic censers. The smoke of their own vitality, their own essence, would rise to the vaulted ceiling of the cave, a direct offering to the gods above.
It was an act of sympathetic magic, a grim and desperate symmetry. We give you our moisture, our blood, the river of our life. In return, you must give us yours, the rain, the lifeblood of the world. It was the ultimate sacrifice of the self, performed in the depths of the earth for the salvation of their people on the surface.
And yet, the most soul-shattering detail of the Balamkú caves was not the ritual pharmacopoeia, nor the blood of priests. In one of the farthest chambers, a space 400 meters deep inside the earth, the floor is a thick, damp layer of virgin clay. There, archaeologists saw them. Imprints, the tracks of bare feet, preserved with impossible clarity. For 1,000 years, they had been sealed in the mud, protected by a delicate, crystalline calcite crust, then to avert their gaze. They were small, impossibly small. They were the footprints of children.
These were not the tracks of play. No child could have accidentally wandered into this suffocating labyrinth of absolute darkness and terror. They were brought here, or carried. The reason lies in the cruel cosmology of the Maya and the Aztecs,
whose influence is seen in the iconography of Tlaloc. The rain god had a particular brutal requirement. He cherished the offerings of children.
As pure, innocent beings, children were believed to exist closer to the spirit world, their souls an ideal conduit for a message to the divine, and it was believed that their tears could summon the clouds. The more a child wept before their end, the more plentiful the rains would be.
We find no mass graves in Balamkú. Not yet. Perhaps the bodies were consigned to the flooded sections of the cave, the submerged siphons where divers have not yet reached. Perhaps they were burned. But their mere presence in this subterranean hell, a place with thin air, where shadows danced from flickering torches and intoxicated priests shrieked behind monstrous masks, speaks to a desperation so profound it becomes almost unimaginable. It tells of a society on the brink of collapse, willing to make the ultimate payment. Parents giving away the most precious thing they had, their future. They were killing their own future to prolong their present for just one more season of rain.
This place is not merely an archaeological site. It is a repository of terror. The terror of children who walked into the darkness and never returned. And the terror of the parents who stood at the cave's mouth, staring at a brazen, merciless sky, waiting for a rain that, in the end, would not come. The careful, deliberate placement of every artifact confirms this was no chaotic act, but a meticulously orchestrated ritual of hope and horror. Deep in the earth, the darkness does not forget. It holds the silence of a prayer that was answered only by stone.
The artifacts are not placed chaotically. This is no mere storehouse for forgotten things. It is a model of the universe. A mandala, rendered in stone and clay. In the heart of the principal chamber, a colossal stalagmite rises from the cavern floor. The ancient Maya did not see random geology. They saw divinity in natural forms, imbuing them with profound meaning. This pillar of stone is their axis mundi, the world tree, Yakshay. The great cosmic axis connecting the heavens, the earth, and the shadowy underworld.
Arranged around it, with ritualistic precision, are ceremonial incense burners. They are aligned to the cardinal points, a silent testament to a worldview built on cosmic order. 4 directions, 4 winds, 4 sacred colors. Red for the east, the rising sun. White for the north, the ancestral realm. Black for the west, the dying light. Yellow for the south, the sun's zenith. Here, in the deep earth, the Maya sought to recreate the perfect order of the cosmos, a desperate response to a world above that was plunging into chaos. They were building a microcosm below ground to heal the macrocosm on the surface. This was an act of magical engineering, an attempt to repair the broken clockwork of weather and time.
Every vessel, every stone, every gesture held immense significance.
A single error in the ritual, a misplaced offering, could have spelled doom for an entire city-state. Within some of these ceramic vessels, archaeologists have found the carbonized remains of seeds, maize, beans, squash, chili peppers, and sacred cacao. These were not simple gifts to the gods. This was a genetic bank for a day of judgment. In an era when the sun above was scorching the fields to dust, when the seed stocks of entire communities were failing, the priests secreted away their finest, most viable grains into the cool, humid embrace of the cave.
Perhaps they hoped the gods would accept this ultimate offering.
Or perhaps, with a more pragmatic desperation, they hoped that one day the rains would return, that these seeds could be retrieved from the darkness and sown once more into the soil. They were trying to save the very foundation of their existence. They were trying to save the DNA of their civilization.
The exploration of Balamkú has only just begun. The archaeologist Guillermo de Anda and his team have penetrated nearly 500 meters into this subterranean labyrinth. But modern georadar and laser scans reveal a staggering truth. This is merely the antechamber. The system of corridors stretches for kilometers, winding deeper into the limestone bedrock of the Yucatan. It descends until it meets the water table, where the tunnels are flooded, submerged in the crystal-clear currents of underground rivers. Here, the mission transitions into the domain of underwater archaeology, one of the most complex and perilous disciplines in the world. Divers now prepare to descend into the siphons, narrow, water-filled passages that constrict into black, claustrophobic wells. A prevailing theory, grounded in the unique geology of the Yucatan Peninsula, suggests that Balamkú is not an isolated system. It may connect to other great cave networks in the region, and perhaps to the sacred cenote that lies directly beneath the Grand Pyramid of Chichen Itza, El Castillo. In the year 2015, electrical tomography confirmed the existence of a vast subterranean lake beneath the pyramid's foundations. If the Balamkú cave is a secret conduit to this sacred, hidden water body, then we are standing on the threshold of a discovery that could redefine history. For what lies in the water beneath the pyramid may be far more than humble pottery. It could hold the remains of kings, priceless offerings of gold and jade, and hieroglyphic panels detailing the lost histories of entire dynasties. A library of knowledge, hidden by the priests in their civilization's darkest hour, sealed within the heart of their most sacred sanctuary, to save it from enemies and from oblivion.
But for now, the path is barred by water, silt, and immense rockfalls. Robotic probes cannot navigate the treacherous terrain. Human explorers are limited by the air they can carry on their backs. Every meter of progress is an act of immense courage and profound risk. And recently, during a scan of the cavern walls, a new mystery emerged. A side chamber was detected, its entrance deliberately sealed by a wall of stones, meticulously piled. From the inside.
From the inside. The implication is as chilling as the cave air itself.
It suggests that someone, or some group, entered that chamber and sealed themselves within. It was not a collapse, it was an act of will. Were they hiding? Were they performing a final, eternal ritual? Or were they guarding something so vital or so dangerous that they made the ultimate sacrifice to ensure it would remain forever undisturbed, locked away in the silent, waiting darkness beneath the earth?
A final, desperate act.
The one who sealed the passage remained within. Was it a priestess, choosing to perish alongside her gods in a final act of devotion? Or was it a tomb for something else? Something so sacred or so profoundly dangerous that it could never again be seen by human eyes. For now, the barrier of stones remains untouched, a silent testament to a forgotten cataclysm.
Archaeologists proceed not with hammers and chisels, but with a surgeon's delicacy.
Slender filaments of fiber optic cable carrying miniature lenses are threaded through the cracks between the stones. On a screen in the world of light, ghostly images flicker into being. They see the contours of objects, shapes shrouded in the dust of centuries. Are those fragments of textile that, by all logic, should have turned to dust millennia ago, but here, in the oxygen-starved stillness, have survived? The forms of wooden idols, their carved faces unseen for 1,000 years, the pale glint of bone. It is a Schrödinger's chamber of history. Until the seal is broken, it contains both everything and nothing.
The scientists are paralyzed by a terrible knowledge. To enter is to risk annihilation.
For thousands of years, the humidity and temperature within this chamber have remained in a delicate, unbroken stasis. A single rush of dry surface air, a change of a few degrees, could cause these priceless organic artifacts to crumble into powder within weeks. And so, the study of Balamkú is a slow, painstaking process, conducted with a reverence reserved for an open wound on the body of history.
For Balamkú is more than a sensation for museum archives. It is a message, a letter delivered across a chasm of lost time. Through this subterranean lens, we are looking at a civilization of staggering sophistication. A people who charted the heavens with uncanny precision, who mastered abstract mathematics and engineered cities that still defy the jungle's relentless embrace. They possessed a complex written language, a vibrant artistic tradition, and an architecture of cosmic ambition.
Yet they stood defenseless before a force of their own making. They exhausted their world. The great forests were felled, burned to fuel the fires that rendered limestone into the plaster for their monumental pyramids, an act that only deepened the relentless droughts that plagued their final centuries. They engineered their own demise, destroying the very habitat that sustained them.
When the crisis came, their vaunted technologies were no salvation. Their elite offered no solutions. Their gods fell silent. Their rulers retreated into the earth, into thrice in the blood of children and offerings of exquisite pottery, all while ignoring the fundamental problems destroying their world from without.
It is a parallel that chills the modern soul. We too alter our climate. We too consume resources as if they are infinite. We too place our faith in the hope that technology will rescue us at the final hour.
Balamkú is the counter-argument, a stark reminder that there are forces with which one cannot negotiate, that there is a line beyond which collapse becomes irreversible. When you gaze upon the photographs of the ceramic face of the rain god, its features emerging from the cave's profound blackness, remember what it represents. This was the last icon upon which the final Maya priests gazed with a mixture of terror and hope, just before their world was extinguished forever. Their pleas were not answered. The Balamkú cave is not a tomb of kings, but a monument to human desperation. It is an eternal testament that history offers warnings, not guarantees, and that nature, always, reserves the right to the final word.
The threads of this narrative extend far beyond this single telling. For in the act of bearing witness, we become part of the story itself, guardians of a memory that must not be allowed to fade. The questions that remain are not a sign of failure, but an invitation to continue the search, to look deeper into the shadows of history, where countless other truths lie waiting for the light.